What's up guys, Jeff from Sorta Healthy here, and today we're breaking down the NASM Physique and Bodybuilding Coach certification. This will be the third NASM course we've reviewed on this channel. Their CPT certification currently has an A- on our trainer education tier list, and their corrective exercise specialist course currently has a B. Interestingly enough, people seem to be extra critical of NASM lately. Or maybe I should say, as time goes forward, NASM is seemingly becoming more polarizing. Some people love them, and other people hate them. In this channel's history, we've had some issues with NASM, but we also like a lot of what they've done. As far as I'm concerned, they're not worthy of your love or hate. And then you have this bodybuilding course. And yeah, guys, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't love it, and there are some very NASM-y reasons why I feel the way that I do. So be sure to grab your Bosu balls and wobble boards, because we're taking off on another NASM-filled adventure. Of course, if you wouldn't mind, please like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Those things really help us out and allow us to keep making free content like this for all of you. Thank you so much, guys. Moving on now. So my first issue with this course is how much of it is review or very similar compared to what you'd find in the base training and corrective exercise specialist certifications. I think it's a pretty safe assumption that most people who are going through this bodybuilding course will have already purchased and are currently going through that base personal training certification by NASM, or they've already finished that course. Sure, maybe once in a while you'll have someone who did their base certification with ACE, ACSM, or some other organization, and they want to do this one through NASM, but I think that's a pretty small minority. So since most people will have already done a base NASM cert, is a bunch of basic anatomy, OPT model, pes planus distortion syndrome, and overactive and underactive muscle stuff still really worth devoting many chapters to? Well, yeah. According to NASM, you need to learn all of that stuff again. Not only do you have to learn all of it again, but arguably stuff like the OPT model, something I already don't love, well, that sort of a thing is even less useful when training bodybuilders or people who aspire to become bodybuilders. The OPT model consists of 5 phases. The first is stabilization endurance, then you have strength endurance, then you have muscular development, then you have maximal strength, and then you have power. Most of these phases are fine, even good, but this first one is just kinda goofy. People who are either already bodybuilders or looking to become bodybuilders shouldn't be wasting their time doing gimmicky balance exercises. If you're a newer physique-focused lifter, you should be laser-focused on big compound lifts, followed by accessory lifts, having a solid overall routine for the entire body, and having your diet and cardio on point. Stuff like that should be the top priorities, not stabilization or balance moves. And while NASM states in Chapter 16 in the OPT Applied section that a physique-focused athlete would start primarily in Phase 3, muscular development training, with occasional workouts in Phases 1 and 2, I still think that this is misguided. Get rid of this phase altogether for a bodybuilding-focused client and bounce between these 3, spending the vast majority of your time here. To be honest, why not just create a similar but slightly different model for physique competitors or physique-focused, more advanced lifters? There's a reason why you don't see bodybuilders or strength athletes training like this. It's not the most effective way to do it. Anyways, went off on a bit of a tangent there, but my main point is that NASM went into a ton of detail on things that they've already beaten into all of our heads in the other certification courses. It just seems unnecessary, and in some cases that other stuff doesn't mesh all that well with bodybuilding. Moving on to something more positive, the nutrition and supplementation stuff in this course was better than I was expecting. They cover the basics, which is review from the base cert, like we already said, but they do cover a lot of information that seems to be unique to this course, or at the very least it wasn't covered much in the base one. They go into pretty extreme detail on things like supplementation, performance-enhancing drugs, contest preparation, calculating TDEE, total daily energy expenditure, reverse dieting, ideal amounts of protein within diets concerning various different scenarios, and many more advanced nutrition topics are covered as well. When talking about things like performance-enhancing drugs or consuming different amounts of protein, they don't always take the safest approach either, which I appreciate. The RDA, or recommended daily allowance for protein, is 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight. That's not much protein at all for a physique competitor. In this course, NASM recommends 1.6 to 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight to maximize muscle growth. I'm glad they didn't go with the RDA amount here, they followed the research. Like we said, this course doesn't shy away from talking about anabolics, which makes sense since if you're actually going to be working with real physique competitors in 2023, 2024, and beyond, many, if not almost all of those people will be taking something. So kudos to NASM for this too. The next thing that I didn't like about this course was the lack of video content. I'm sure that many of you watching go through these online courses the same way that I do. review. When starting a new chapter, the first thing you do is skim the chapter. You're not going to read all of it, but you'll look most of it over. While doing that, of course, you'll be paying extra attention to the highlighted or featured terms. Oh, leucine is a highlighted word. I should probably know what that is for the test. After going through that, you'll take a quiz if it's there, and you'll watch any videos in the chapter as well. Doing these three things in combination really helps you to retain the information. NASM knows this, and that's why their main certification course is set up the way it is. Pretty much all the most important concepts will be featured in the text, then there will be a video on it somewhere, and then you'll have to do a quiz to test your new knowledge, which will help everything to stick. Well, in this bodybuilding course, there are very few of those videos. The text and quizzes are still there, but the videos are very much MIA. This makes all of this stuff, at least to me, way more boring, and I know I didn't retain as much information because of that. This feels like a missed opportunity because there are literally thousands of physique competitors they could have hired to help with video content here. For instance, Chapter 18 is all about peaking for competition. How the f are you not going to have video footage of a bodybuilder peaking for a competition and talking about what that's like? No offense, NASM, but reading about muscle fullness and dryness isn't all that exciting. I mean, sure, I'll read all of that stuff over quick, but all of this just feels like trying to take medicine without water. The video content is the water or the thing that helps you wash all of that information down. Long story short, there isn't enough video content, and that makes this course pretty boring. Just seems like a lazy, missed opportunity on NASM's part. Something that I kind of like about this course are the print-offs. Some of them seem like they would be quite useful, and each chapter contains a print-off or two. For example, in the supplementation chapter, there is literally a print-off or handout called Most Effective Dietary Supplement Summary. It's a print-off showing 9 scientifically proven supplements, what dosage you should take of each supplement, when you should take each of these supplements, and what effects you can expect from each individual supplement. I can imagine that printing this off and giving it to a new physique-focused lifter would be helpful and appreciated. There's a ton of these different print-offs located all throughout the text, and they range from not useful at all to potentially very helpful. I would give more examples of more helpful and less helpful ones, but some of these may only be accessible by purchasing the course, and I'm not trying to steal anything from NASM. The last thing I don't like about this course, and this is a big one, is that there aren't nearly enough sample plans or practical scenarios featured. I suppose this is related to the first thing that I talked about, which was they spent too much time reviewing things that are in other certification courses. This is true. They should have spent less time reviewing and more time with actual bodybuilders or physique competitors. I mean, if you want to train bodybuilders, wouldn't you want to be learning from them as much as you could? Of course, the answer to that is yes. I reviewed the NASM Corrective Exercise Specialist course earlier this year, and I said they should have included a chapter at the end of that course that included 5 to 10 hypothetical clients that each had different things going on. NASM could have given examples of what corrective exercise strategies you should be using with each of those clients. The same thing should have been included here, but this time with physique competitors, and the omission of that or something like it feels like an even bigger missed opportunity in this course. My biggest problem with almost all of these trainer CEC courses is that they aren't practical. It's way harder than it should be to do a course like this and then use the information from that course with clients in the real world. To bridge this gap, I really do feel like NASM and the other companies all should include a more practical or information applied chapter at the end of their courses. Give me some different clients to think about. Maybe include one who's been lifting for 3 years and wants to prep for a first competition. You can include one who's done a few competitions but hasn't done as well as they feel they should have, and they'll be hiring you on to do better. Maybe you have a female lifter who's experienced but wants to get up on stage for the first time. Maybe there's a male bodybuilder who's killing it but wants to stay killing it and is looking to hire you on to stay on top of his game. Tell me in this hypothetical, more practical chapter how to best help all of these make-believe clients. This will help me to take the information I've learned throughout the course and start applying it to actual scenarios. The fact that this sort of thing is usually absent from these sorts of courses is incredibly frustrating. Now, to NASM's credit, there are some sample plans featured in Chapter 16, and there is some sample programming in their 82-page exercise programming downloadable manual as well. None of that stuff is as in-depth as it should be. Detailed plans taking a client from day one all the way up to the day of the competition should have been included. The last positive thing I'll say about this course, and it's becoming almost comical that I keep saying this, is that this course has the NASM name on it. For better or worse, NASM is the most popular option when it comes to trainer education in the United States and probably a bunch of other countries too. Having their name on your resume does still add some value. Now, how much weight does that name carry in the bodybuilding community? Well, probably very little, but don't kid yourself, it still helps a little bit. Simply put, if I have to choose between two coaches who have similar experience levels, backgrounds, etc., the coach who has this certification on their resume in addition to all of that does have an advantage when trying to work with physique-focused athletes. How big of an advantage? Probably not very, but it is relevant. Okay, so after digging into those pros and cons, where does this thing end up on the trainer education tier list? I had two grades in mind for this certification, and neither are great. In my mind, this thing is either a D+ or a C-. There's useful stuff in there, but it's missing some key things, and the presentation is lackluster for a company like NASM. For now, it's going to go at C-, partially because there just aren't that many courses out there that specifically focus on bodybuilders or physique competitors. As more courses come out and get added to this list, the grade here could change. The reason I reviewed this course right now was because I was hoping to take a few nuggets away from it while doing some fairly intense training myself. After taking a few months to look this thing over, I did take some stuff away, but less than I was expecting. I ended up getting as much or more usable information from influencers in this space like Jeff Nippert here. I'm not a bodybuilder and I have no desire to be one, and to be honest, I don't really have any interest in training bodybuilders either. I think that if you want to train bodybuilders, you better be practicing what you preach and look the part. I'm not saying you need to be stage ready all the time, but I have no doubt that the best physique coaches will have done some competing themselves, so keep all of that in mind. If you're curious to see the video where Alexis and I did train intensely for 100 days and did implement a good number of bodybuilding strategies, that video will be pinned in the comments section down below. That video is on our other new channel, Sorta Healthy Lifestyle, which will, no surprise, focus more on fitness and lifestyle stuff rather than trainer education. If that's your thing, make sure to show that video and channel some love. Also, if you haven't done so already, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel, because both of those things really do help this channel to grow, and that does allow me to create more free content for all of you. Thanks for watching, everyone, and until next time, stay sort of healthy.